There was a couple of things. Did you notice the little plastic clamp she was using? Yeah. How one of them popped off? You know, I never use those. That's why I use this wiggle wire and U-channel. But if you want to do something like that because you just don't have the money yet and you want to get it done, then you can take PVC, a long 10-foot piece, and you can cut it with a saw. And then you cut it down the length of it 2 times and leave an opening about like that that'll fit that pipe, and you can use PVC. It's a lot cheaper. I don't like that method because you saw the thing pop off when she was doing the scissor doors. Those little clamps won't withstand a high wind, in my opinion. Now, another thing I wanted you to notice is, did you notice how she run her plastic all the way to the ground? And I told you to roll your plastic. That's only during the summertime. In the wintertime, you leave that thing all the way to the ground everywhere, and you keep it buttoned up tight from that coolness. So that's why there's different methods for different times of year. So let's talk about the spray regime. This is quite in-depth and detailed. And I did give you a printout on it. The first thing you want to do is you want to use oxidate. And what this does, this cleans pathogens off the leaves of your plants. Have you ever seen a plant that it looks like somebody's been using it as a cigarette butt ashtray, and it's got white and black on it? Well, I've got a plant like that, one of my avocado plants like that. There's a bug that does that. I'm not sure, it may be spider mites. But it looks like just somebody's been dipping cigarette ashes all over the plant, black and just nasty looking. Well, what you can do is you can use this product Oxidate, and what this is a form of hydrogen peroxide, but it's made for washing the leaves of plants, and you just spray it on and it completely oxidates the leaves and takes everything off of your leaves. And then what you want to do is make sure to follow up with a beneficial spray soon. You don't want to just have an empty house, because 7 demons will come into your house if you leave it empty. So this is a prep. I'm using a spiritual application, by the way. I'm sure you all picked up on that. You want to have a weekly 7-day cycle spray program. And what I like to do is, because certain spray programs aren't compatible, for example, a fungicide spray program is not compatible with a pesticide program, because the pesticide program in many cases will be wrecked by your fungicide sprays. So what I do, I spray for pest control on Monday, and then I'll come back and spray for fungicide on Friday. And I try to do that faithfully. Now, I've got several products listed here, but let's talk about Compost Tea. Now, what I like to do is I've got a fairly large garden. You can make a 5-gallon bucket worth of it quite easily. Now, my recipe here is for a 50-gallon bucket or 55-gallon drum, and you can get these drums cheap over at M&M Steel Drum in Canton. I can get food-grade plastic 55-gallon drums for $10 there all day long. At M&M Steel Drum in Canton. And that's a good tip for you. You know, they've got all different kind of drums. Now, the kind of drum you want to get from them is one with a removable lid so you can work in there. This is just for Compost Tea. Now, another thing, this pictured steel drum here I have has the lid that's fixed to it. And what I do is I buy those 55-gallon drums. They're food grade. They've been cleaned out. And I cut them in half. And I drill holes in the bottom. And that is a 27.5-gallon planter pot that I can put dwarf trees in. And those dwarf trees will grow up to their adulthood in that pot. And it only cost me $5. If you know anything about pots, you know they're very expensive. If I was to go on the open market and buy a 27.5-gallon drum pot, I might pay $35 or $55 for that thing.
How much is the barrel?
The barrel is $10.
Is that metal or plastic?
Plastic, food grade.
That's plastic.
Now they've got different kinds. I think the one with the lid that comes off, which is the one you want for Compost Tea, might be $15. But It may be cheaper, I don't remember, but I've got one of them, but it's worth it. It's well worth it at the price.
Company you go out?
M&M Steel Drum in Canton. They're in the phone book, or you can look on the computer online and pull them up right away. M&M Steel Drum. You know, like M&M the candy? Just remember that, M&M the candy, except put a steel drum after it, and you'll find them. They're online. They're great. They've got every kind of tank there you could possibly want. Now, another thing I'm doing with these, and this isn't really part of this class, but I'm taking that steel drum and cutting it in half, and I'm putting either peat moss or cocoa coir with perlite in that drum, and I'm going to hydroponically grow beets and carrots. And then eventually, when I get good enough at it, I'm going to grow potatoes in there. And the reason I like that is because if you know about hydroponics, it's fun, it's very pleasurable, there's no weeding, and it grows twice as fast, and it grows twice the produce. And it requires about a third or half of the root system, because the plant doesn't have to go around like it's mining the soil looking for nutrient. It doesn't have to do that. So it's fun for me. This is a good recipe for compost tea. If you're going to use a 55-gallon drum, you want to use a professional grade pump. I bought this off eBay or Amazon. I probably bought it on Amazon.com. It comes with this in the tube. And I can run, I think there's 12 connections on this thing. I can run off of it. And what you do is I run a really large bubbler. That pump will power this bubbler, and I'll run this thing for 24 hours. Now I'll also put a bubbler, a smaller one that I bought at the aquarium store. I'll buy a bubbler and put it in the paint bag. I use a paint strainer bag. Have you ever seen those 5-gallon bucket paint strainer bags? You can get them at Lowe's or Home Depot. And so I bought paint strainer bags, and I'll put my cured compost, worm castings, azomite, and kelp meal in that bag, and then I'll put my aerator in the bag, and I'll tie it up, and I'll hang it off of a nice big thick string, something that won't break, and then I'll put that lid back on, and I'll open up one of the holes so it can breathe. You don't have to have a lid. It's probably better without one. But you can have, if you have it outside and you don't want it to get a lot of rainwater in it and you think it might rain, it may be a good idea to use a lid. Just take off both of the caps. There's always 2 caps on 55-gallon drums, and you want to take those off so the whole thing can breathe. Now, you add to the water only fish emulsion, seaweed, and molasses. And what you do is you brew that mixture for 24 hours. And what happens, that gets microbial life. It gets all kinds of good, healthy bacteria on it. It gets teeming with life. And there's another product I'm going to show you about later on in the study that'll really supercharge that water with life. I've got something about CalMag, but we'll discuss CalMag later. Now what we do is we spray our fungicides with compost tea. We do not spray it alone. We spray it with compost tea, and there's a reason. When you spray with compost tea, you envelope the plant with living organisms. It's kind of like putting a coat of armor on your plant. And you enhance the web of life of which the plant is a part. The results can be astounding. Large, mineral-rich vegetation with clear, glossy leaves, decreased disease, and even lessened insect attacks. Plants threatened with with foliar fertilization, and especially compost tea, have higher Brix levels, a measure of the carbohydrates and mineral density in the sap. High Brix is said to make the plants less attractive to pests and more resilient to stress. If they are vegetables, they even taste better. You can put this on any plant, flowers too if you have them. Compost tea, unlike mineral sprays and foliar fertilization, cannot be over-applied and does not burn the leaves. You know, it's kind of like, you know, going to the store and you buy some kind of Miracle Grow spray product or something like that. Would you eat steak all day, every day, and only eat steak? No. You wouldn't do that. It doesn't make any sense because you'd end up with all kinds of sickness. It's the same thing with using those chemical fertilizers that you're putting on your plants. This compost tea recipe is natural and you can't overuse it, and it's like feeding your plants. It's like you sitting down at your table and eating all garden veggies and eating a healthy diet. You've got your grains, your wheat, your fruits, you've got your nuts, you've got everything all put together that's really healthy for you. And if you're using chemicals like Miracle Grow and other high nitrogen chemicals like K-Grow, I want to kind of steer you away from that and say, you know, that's like trying to put your plants on a nothing but steak diet all the time. And you know, that plant may look healthy, but it is not truly healthy because what you're doing, it's like feeding it a Big Mac every day. It's just not good for, it's not natural for plants to do that. Those same microbes, the microbe-rich droplets drip off the leaves to improve soil and growing solutions. Those same microbes can clean up toxic chemicals and turn them into nutrients. Did you know that? Adding life into your soil and onto your plant's leaves can actually clean up toxins for you because that life eats the toxic stuff. For growers who regularly use compost tea, there is nothing better. The main drawback is that being alive, it has a limited shelf life. If you brew your own compost tea, it needs to have the best ingredients and proven test results. We use McEnroe compost from 5th Season Asheville and the other products listed as well. So we buy all these products at 5th Season in Asheville. So you can go, it's kind of like a one-stop shop, and you just get everything you need. And make sure you ask for McEnroe compost, because if you don't specifically tell them you're doing compost tea, they'll accidentally give you a bag of McEnroe garden soil, which is what they did with me, and I got to take it back. Garden pump sprayer selection. I've talked to many professionals in the industry, professional farmers, and they've all told me the same thing. You've got to have the highest PSI rating you can get on your pump sprayer. When you go to Lowe's and buy that 40 PSI, the best one they have is the one, it says Roundup on it. That's not really enough for fungicide. You want to use as high, you want to start at 60 PSI and go higher. You know, they make them 90, 120. I bought a 90 from a company, and I wasn't real happy with the company, so I'm not going to really suggest them. But you look online and type in 90 PSI, or they go up higher than that, but I don't think that's really necessary. You just want to make sure you got a minimum of 60 PSI on your pump sprayer. The reason why is because that atomizes the spray and makes the spray where it can mist in to get underneath the leaves. And my pump sprayer that I have actually has a nozzle that will point up like this, and I can turn that nozzle any which way I want. But the first thing I do when I'm spraying the plant is I spray the bottoms, and then I do the top, and then the bottoms, and then the top, and I work my way up until I get that plant completely saturated, especially on the bottoms. If you're doing pest control and fungicide, you definitely want to get the bottoms of the leaves mainly, because you're going to have more problems there than you are on the top. Now, of course, you're going to get the top too, but I want to stress that. So when you buy your pump sprayer, the one I got, I will tell you, it's called Shindawa. But, you know, when I ordered it from the company, they were missing half the parts in it. So I, you know, had to go back, and I don't care for that. So there's a lot of pump sprayers out there. Now, a Shindawa will last you forever. They've got a 2-year warranty, and that thing's a professional grade sprayer. And it does have a wand on it that'll point up, and you can put the spray pattern really fine, adjustable, and it will mist those plants. That's what you need to do. You need to mist those plants. You don't want to spray some big thick spray like you're thinking, you know, like you're spraying some kind of a fan type. You know what I'm talking about when I say a fan spray? It's like ectoplasm. It's just like a big thick stream of water. That's not what you were trying to achieve. You want to get a mist. So that's something that's important for us to discuss, which I don't actually have listed here, but
What was the name again that you gave for the
Shindawa,
How do you spell it?
S-H-I-N, that's right, D-A-I-W-A.
D-A.
Shindawa. And you can get them, if you go to Hendersonville, there's a store, it's A1 Engine Repair. They're the only certified carrier of this, and they have to special order it, and it's $125. So like I say, you can get them a little cheaper, and you can just do some research online. You want to go with at least 60 psi. I like having 90 because I was told by the professionals that as high as I could get, the better. So, you know, I could go all the way up to 120, but the